everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Barely Bookish podcast. If you didn't hear in the ending, we officially have a brand new Patreon perk, and now every single Monday, you'll get the early access to the episodes that come out on Wednesday. So if you want some early access and some exclusive show notes and some other great benefits, please check out the Patreon at patreon.com/barelybookish. Also, we have some new merch available. So if you want to check us out, if you go to barelybookish.com/merch, we now have stickers, some tote bags, as well as the t-shirts and tank tops that were available before. And they're really cute. They're really comfortable. I honestly wear my own merch a lot, which I feel like is kind of weird, but I do it anyways because it's really comfortable. But yeah, that's kind of a lot of the great things that we've got going. I'm very excited about them. And yeah, thank you guys for joining me. And I really hope you guys will enjoy this episode of the Iliad. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Barely Bookish podcast. We are talking about the Iliad today. Iliad. Every time I put two L's because I kept misreading it, which was fun. And then autocorrect was like, "What are you doing? That's not the way you spell this." And I was like, "Oh, my apologies to Mr. Homer because I am a moron." Anyways, I am joined today by Jade from About a Book podcast.
Hello. So happy to be here. I'm coming to you across the airwaves from Dublin, Ireland. So a bit of a time difference here, but we're making it work.
I know. I'm jealous. I never got to go to Ireland. I wanted to when I went over to England. I stayed in London for a month, and like my friend got to go to Ireland, but I went to Germany, and I was like, I can't afford to also go to Ireland. So I'm living vicariously through you right now.
Well, it's a mess here at the moment, so you're not missing it.
That's true. That's true. In like 5 years, when Rona's over, then I'll go to Ireland.
Yeah. When you can record a podcast episode at me, and it'll be like full circle.
I know, it'll be great. Like that'll just we'll be able to like converse. I'll talk about Ireland. It'll be great. Where can all the people like? Can you tell us a little bit about your podcast and where people can listen to it and all that fun stuff?
Yeah, so I started a podcast about a book just a couple months ago, maybe 3 or 4 months ago now. So it's still very in the early stages. And I have my background is in English and history. That's what I have a degree in. So I kind of talk about the history and the story behind famous books, like how did Mary Shelley think of Frankenstein, or how did growing up in Ireland inspire Dracula. And I guess I kind of like make the authors seem more like people, like the people behind the books. Um, so yeah, that's my type of thing. So I was really
Nice.
excited to do this book today because it has like a good like historical background.
I know you are a lot more prepared for your podcast than I am because mine is basically like, hi, I never read this, have no academic knowledge, and you know what? We're gonna roast some books today. That's basically the plot point of my podcast.
Well, as we were saying before we started recording, I'm not an expert in this book. My eyes kind of glazed over some parts because it's not the most captivating of
Yeah.
books, and there's a lot of names of people that are totally irrelevant. But I think I got the bare gist of the first 5 books which we're discussing today.
Yeah, I got to a point where I was like, these people don't need names. Like I'm just not gonna name them
No,
because like,
it should just be like fighter number 1 and fighter number 2 because
yeah,
it's too hard to like keep flipping back and forth.
I know. I was like, if they're gonna the only time I get introduced to them is when they die, I'm not gonna write them down.
But it was good. I'm enjoying it so far. I'm enjoying the overarching story, if
Mhm.
I'm not getting too fussed on the details, because there's a lot of details, especially when it comes to like food and making sacrifices. And did you notice as well that the book has like quite nice descriptions of people, like it has like I wrote it down here, swift-footed godlike Achilles, and some I think it was Athena is described as like pale armed Athena, so they all have these like little titles.
Wait a second. Wait, do you have Greek gods in yours?
I had the let me see the edition I have here.
Because I don't have Athena in mine. I have
I have the
Minerva.
I have the penguin one.
Did Barnes and Noble do me dirty? I'm reading Roman gods. What?
Well, I get confused between the Roman names and the Greek names all the time. So maybe I just made a mistake. I'm not sure. This is what I mean about the book is kind of confusing. There's a lot of names.
I'm gonna be so salty if I find out that Athena is in here because I'm reading about Jove and Juno and Minerva and Mars, and I was like, "You got Greek gods in yours?
Yeah.
What? What?"
Yeah, this is the penguin version for anybody listening. Let me see if it says who's translated it.
Barnes and Noble did me dirty. I don't care about the Roman gods. Wow. Yeah, I
It
don't.
says it's translated by Martin Hammond. So thank you, Martin, for giving the Greek gods because
Yeah.
I prefer those names.
Oh man, now I'm angry. I'm a little jealous. Oh,
I get so confused though about the Greek and Roman gods, so it's fine. We can just use both names.
I'm so sad. I don't think you understand how I was like the entire time. I was like, I thought this was a Greek myth. I'm kind of surprised. Who are these people? I don't know who translated mine, to be honest. It says Samuel Butler, but I'm not sure if he translated it
What's the
or
publisher?
um the publisher is Actress Holdings Limited. Actress Publishing Limited.
Sounds made up.
Yeah, yeah. How do I call printed in the UK?
Hmm.
Hmm. How rude, first of all, that you get Greek gods. Now I feel like I need to go look up like a PDF of it, maybe. Because this entire time, now I was confused. I was like, who
Because
are
you're trying to
these people?
convert them in your head. You're like trying to
Yeah.
convert them in your head. Yeah, I get that.
Because I thought Homer was Greek this entire time, and I was like, why do we have Roman gods? I'm so
It,
sad.
we should have decided on the like version together to be reading the same thing, but it's the same story. I mean, there's
Yeah,
loads of adaptations. It's fine. We
it's
get the
fine.
gist.
All right. Well, I
You
guess
just
we'll
talk about
just
your names and I'll talk about my names and we'll try not to confuse people.
yeah, we'll just make an equals like Minerva equals Athena, I think.
Yeah.
Because
We
Juno,
might have to Google it, but
yeah,
I think I know them.
yeah, I know Juno and Jove, just based on this story, are Zeus and Hera.
Mhm.
And Juno is Hera, Jove is Zeus. But like, I legitimately don't care about Roman gods. I don't understand.
They're gonna come
Okay,
and strike you down now for saying that.
I'm just gonna be like chilling one day and then I just get a lightning bolt straight to my face. Okay, so it was by Samuel Butler. At Samuel Butler, why'd you choose Roman gods? I just want to talk.
Another funny story about this episode actually was that when I started talking to you about doing this episode, I actually got this book mixed up with the Aeneid, which I had already read and studied. And then I'm not gonna, it was pretty close to today. I realized that I had not read the book and I was speed reading it and like looking up everything about it. But we're here now and I'm prepared. So that's all that matters. But yeah, when we're discussing, I might get a bit mixed up with the Aeneid and the Odyssey because they all kind of go into like one hodgepodge in my mind. It's all the same people, but I'll be fine.
I accidentally said the Iliad by Shakespeare the other day. How did I mess this up in my head?
Well, technically, they don't know who wrote it. Like, they're very heavily presuming it was Homer, but who knows? Maybe Shakespeare is like a time traveler and he went back in time. People even debate if Shakespeare was a person, so anything is possible.
Didn't he like rip off a bunch of his writings too?
Yep.
Okay, moving on after my disgust at Samuel Butler today. I'm just gonna be like Barnes and Noble's like, okay, never mind, I guess we won't. Or no, it was Books A Million that I got this from. Books A Million's gonna be like, never mind, I guess we won't support the Barely Bookish podcast. Moving on. So we got book one. Okay, for context, I don't know anything about this. The only thing I know is that people say that Achilles is gay, and I know that
I didn't
because
hear
of the
them.
Song of Achilles.
Mm,
Yeah, that's all I
interesting.
know.
I studied like classics and mythology in secondary school, so like high school. And I actually got Classic Student of the Year 2017, humble brag. But there's only like 10 people in my class and I was like a teacher's pet. So and that was a long time ago. That was like 5 years ago now. So I've definitely forgotten. And I previously studied the Odyssey and the Aeneid, which I explained I get confused with all the time. So it re-jogged my memory, but by no means an expert at all. So don't quiz me.
Let's get it going. So, book one. Off the bat, Achilles withdraws from war, sends his mother to ask Jove, and I was like, who's Jove? Zeus, I guess, to help the Trojans. And Jove and Juno are gossiping on Olympus and saying that Achilles is and someone had a falling out. So then someone named okay, I'm gonna butcher names this entire time.
Oh, me too, 100%. I was kind of nervous about this, like coming on. I was like, I can't pronounce any of these names. I've just been reading this and like saying it in my head.
I know. I was like, I wish we had like, if I had someone that was Greek as a friend, I'd be like, hey, can you just like listen to the episode, tell me how wrong I pronounced it, and then I could just like cut your name in, like cut your pronunciation in. That'd be great. But we're gonna do our best. So, someone named Agamemnon,
Agamemnon. Yeah.
Agamemnon,
Yeah.
aka our homie the king. Um,
Kind of a douche, to be honest. I don't
yeah,
like him at
the
all.
worst, the
Yeah,
absolute
the
worst.
worst. The
Uh,
worst alpha male you can think of.
yeah, no, he's a tool, straight up. The worst. A
He just
horrible person.
has he just has this girl captive and he just
Hmm.
not gonna let her go just because he just doesn't want to.
He already has a wife too, and he's like, I just wanted another one, and I was like, bruh, what? So then, like, this girl's dad shows up and's like, hey, here's ransom money, also the scepter of Apollo, and he's like, yeah, that's not good enough for me. No, I'm keeping your daughter, and this guy's like, dude, what? And then prays to Apollo, and he's like, Apollo, listen, homie, hear me out. Will you kill this guy? And Apollo's like, yeah, bro, I'll kill this guy. Sounds great. Awesome.
It's kind of like, when you have maybe something that you don't think is like that great, but then everyone else thinks it's really good. So then suddenly it's like super valuable to you and you won't trade it for anything. That's kind of
Yeah.
like what he's like with this, um, Apollo's priest's
Scepter.
daughter
Oh,
girl.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
He's just
know.
like not trading it for anything, even the gods, or he's just even rejecting the gods and saying no. It's a bit ridiculous.
I know. All the women in this book have no bodily authority at all. They're just basically traded as prizes. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's quite sad, but it was like, I don't even know how many years ago. I don't even know the math, but a very, very, very long time ago. But
Yeah.
hopefully Helen and the other women weren't real people. I don't know if they were,
I
but
don't think so.
but it was a reality for a lot of people, unfortunately. But hopefully the gods weren't intervening like that.
I know. I was like, the gods intervene in this a lot. They're basically at everyone's beck and call in this moment.
Yeah, I only have a few notes taken down, but the first one is the gods are messy AF, which is very
Mhm.
true. They just cause all the drama. Like they're the worst. They just treat like the humans as pawns in their fights. Like it's fine if they fight because they're immortal, but then like there's just complete bloodshed for like 10 years over a fight that they started. It's just,
Yeah.
and don't even get me started on Paris. Like he's just the worst, but we'll get to that later.
Oh, yeah, we will. Yeah, we will.
I think everyone in this book is kind of terrible, to be honest. I don't
Mhm.
really particularly like anybody.
I know. It's yeah, no, it's no one's good so far. So that'll be interesting to read a book where I hate everyone. Um
It's kind of cool though how the gods are like kind of normal, they're like people, they're not like good or bad because now obviously, people describe God as like perfect and everything, but these gods were like so messy and like
mhm.
terrible.
I know. I kind of love that. Like I love the idea of humanizing the gods just
Yeah,
because it's like it's always kind of been hard for me to think, oh, there's this giant immortal
perfect.
being, yeah,
Yeah.
that's perfect and always forgiving. I'm like, really?
And I think it makes a lot more sense when like, really bad, like uncontrollable or unpredictable things happen on Earth. It's just the gods fighting. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, and they like the way they're just fickle and change their minds all the time. I mean,
Mhm.
it's entertaining to read, but I feel bad for these people in the book.
Yeah, yeah, I know. So as Apollo is slaughtering everyone because it's Apollo,
Why not?
yeah, Achilles is like, okay, let's figure out why Apollo is mad. So Achilles goes to a priest and he's like, okay, homie, what's happening? And the priest says that Achilles has to protect him if he wants to know. And Achilles is like, okay, yeah, sure, that's fine, I'll protect you. So then the priest tells Achilles that their king kidnapped Chryseis' daughter, and Apollo is killing everyone until the king gives the daughter back with no ransom money whatsoever and nothing in exchange, just like freely gives her back.
They can't see, but I'm shaking my head right now in just complete disbelief.
Yeah, I know. So the king's like, yeah, no. He's like, I love her better than I love my wife. And I'll give her up if you find me a better prize instead. In my translation, it always refers to the wife as a prize, which does not sit right with me.
Yeah, 100%. Like the women are just, it's like tied up in the men's like pride and honor. Like that was another note I had down is that like pride and honor is like the most high valued, most important thing. And
Mhm.
these women are kind of like a display of their like masculinity and like authority and just like, big dick energy. I don't know if I can say that, but
It's fine. This is an explicit podcast, so you can say whatever you want.
yeah, it's all just about hyping them up. So the women are very much just like a status symbol.
I know. Yeah, I made this an explicit podcast when I had to talk about manslaughter for an episode on Fahrenheit 451. I was like, yeah, yeah, we'll just give it that
Yeah.
explicit rating. Everyone can say what they want now. Achilles is like, listen, if you keep being the worst, I'm going to go home. And the king's like, if you go home, I'm going to sleep with your wife. And Achilles is like, bruh, what?
It's
I
just
just,
messy. There's just so
yeah.
much affairs. There's no like for being people that like honor is so important to them and pride and everything. Like they're so unloyal and like there's just so much infidelity. You know what I mean? They aren't these like amazing stand-up guys at all because they just go around with like no loyalty to friends or to like their wives or anything.
I know they do
It's
not
just
care if someone's married or not at all. That means nothing to them.
yeah, I would have thought that like in, the eons gone by that like marriage would have been more of like more an important thing than it is
Mhm.
now, but like I guess not. I mean, I guess people have been assholes like throughout history, cheating and whatnot.
And it's kind of wild when you think about the progression of like this idea of marriage because it's like this was before we had a lot of our well-known history, I guess. Whereas like in the 1800s, the 1700s, 1600s, what marriage was such like a covenant that like you could not break, like no one could get divorced, no one could ever leave each other. You
Yeah.
know, marriage is for life and you can't sleep with people outside of marriage. And then it's like the Greeks were like, I'm just going to steal your wife, buddy. I'll take your wife.
Yeah. And then like a bunch of like of the Greek men had like a wife, but then also like a boyfriend. That
Hmm.
was usually a younger boy, which is like kind of like problematic. Definitely. But
Yeah.
yeah, everyone just had like all the men just had a boyfriend and a girlfriend, and it was just like normal.
I mean,
Just
listen,
every-
we love gay rights. We love all that. But the grooming in this is not a look. It's not good.
No, some call me by your name type stuff.
Haven't read that yet. Oh wait, no, never mind. The music. Sorry. No, I do know that. I know exactly what you're talking about. Okay. I've been so used to people saying books that I was like, I haven't read that yet. What is that about? And then I'm like, oh no, the wonderful music video that just came out. Love that. So then I have the goddess Minerva, which the amount of characters from Harry Potter that are in this, like the same names, they're not the characters, but the same names of characters in Harry Potter had me kind of laughing.
I've never seen or read Harry Potter, which is probably unusual for someone very into books. But yeah, I know the basics. Like I know like Hermione and Ron and Harry and like Hagrid and Dumbledore, but that's about it. So
It's fine. I read them for the first time like a year and a half ago, so you're fine.
did you enjoy it? Because I feel like there's no point me reading them because I feel like people that like are around our age that like love them, it's kind of like nostalgia for like when they were kids, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because they are like for a younger audience. Like I
Yeah.
feel like most of the adults that love it is from like they've always loved it. Like, did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed it solely from like the standpoint of like I liked the movies growing up and I liked it because it's a very easy book to get through and it's like a very nice casual world that you feel like could exist. So like I liked the if you've ever read like a good like young YA to middle grade and you've enjoyed it, I feel like you would enjoy it. But like you wouldn't it's not like hard-hitting literature, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like speaking of actually with this episode, I'm currently reading like the Percy Jackson series and I'm really enjoying that because that's just nice and chill with problematic gods and everything. It's great.
You know, it's I really liked the Percy Jackson. I've read all of those first ones. I haven't read Trials of Apollo yet. I also read that like right after I read Harry Potter for the first time.
I'm only on the second one, but
Okay.
I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. It's great. But
Good vibes to get into right now.
yeah. Got me in the mindset for this.
I know.
Although this is a lot more slow moving, but still.
And I'm reading this at the same time I'm reading Lore. If you haven't read that one yet, that one just
Not
came out.
yet.
It's
I've
Lore's
seen it.
kind
I've
of
seen it
weird.
all over my Instagram.
Yeah, it's like an action movie and a book. So it got
Mhm.
me really prepped for this.
Well, let's see how prepped we are because
So the goddess Minerva comes down and convinces Achilles not to murder this guy. She's like, listen, do not murder the king. Like, that's a bad move. And Achilles is like, but he's trying to like sleep with my wife. And Minerva's like, listen, it's fine. It'll work out. So then we find out Achilles has a goddess for a mother. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So many people in this book have like gods and goddesses for parents.
yeah, like there's hardly anybody that's like fully mortal. Like most of them have some sort of like connection to the gods. They're either super favored by the gods. Or these gods are so unfair. Like they just pick certain people and they're like they're ride or die, you know, and they'll do anything to protect that person, or else or else they're like demigods.
Mm-hmm.
Like most of them are, especially like the main characters and like the best fighters, obviously. But yeah, Achilles, wasn't it that when he was a baby, his mom like dunked him in the river Styx to kind of like give him this like protection, but then she like dunked him in by holding on to his ankle. So
Mm-hmm.
the ankle didn't go into the river. So if he
Yeah.
got hit in the ankle, he's like kaput.
Yeah, I know that history, but it wasn't in my book.
Yeah, I don't know if it's I don't think it was mentioned in this. I think it's
Okay.
mentioned in like the Iliad or the Odyssey. I can't remember because they're all
Okay.
kind of about the same war. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure.
The translation is kind of funny in this book. I think there's like a point where I think it's Achilles, he calls like Agamemnon like a dog face. And I was like, that's just an age old slag, you know, that never gets old. You can call anybody throughout history dog face and it means the same thing.
Yeah, love it.
Dogs are so cute though. I wouldn't really, what type of dog? That it
I
varies.
know.
Pugs are pretty ugly, but like
They're
other
ugly in a
dogs
cute
are
way.
kind of cute.
I love pugs. I think they're like they're ugly in a cute way. Like I love Sphinx cats, but again,
So do
because they're
I.
ugly in a cute way, you know what I mean? I love them.
Yeah.
Love their ugly faces. Plus, they kind of look like they would kill you in your sleep, like a little gremlin
Mhm.
creature. I love them. I think they're so adorable.
Yeah, I have like 7 cats, but no Sphinx cats yet.
I have one old lady dog, and she is the light of my life.
I've got 4 dogs. So I have like 10 pets in my house.
Oh,
So it's very noisy to record. None of
honestly,
them are in the room now though, so hopefully it's gonna be fine.
yeah, that's a great life. My dog is just sleeps all the time, and then I like poke my head out. I'm like, "How you doing?" She looks up at me, falls back asleep. I'm like, "Okay." So then Agamemnon, the king, we're just gonna go with the king,
Yeah.
makes his men steal Achilles' wife for him, and Achilles is like, "Listen, if you take my wife, you're never getting help from me. I'm never gonna speak to you again." And they're like, "We have to do it." And he's like, "Fine, take my wife." So then he leaves the battle camp as they take his wife away, and he's crying. And I'm like,
That's something I like though in like a lot of Homer's works, like the Odyssey. They
"Mm,
have like men crying, which I think is like pretty cool because you don't even see that much like in the media today, you
mhm,
know? So like back then crying was actually like a true sign of like masculinity, which I think is really cool because like that's
yeah,
still like something that we're only like accepting now.
mhm,
But Homer just made it like really normal and like all the men had like a full range of emotions and they were never like, you know, they weren't like trying to be strong all the time, which I think is great. Like in the Odyssey, I think it's like Odysseus is like away from home and he's like weeping for his wife.
mhm."
It's pretty nice. Even though he cheats on her a bunch of times, but that's for the Odyssey episode.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Yeah, I was like, I feel really bad, but also like no one is secure in their relationship here. Like I feel
No.
bad for Achilles, but like apparently if you take your wife to war, she's gonna sleep with the king, and I don't know why that's a rule.
Maybe it's a way of like protecting herself. Who knows?
Yeah.
Or maybe I don't know, actually. Who knows?
Yeah, you
Maybe he
might
was attractive, but then again, he was called a dog face. So who knows?
it doesn't seem like she has an option, you know? So I don't know if like if you have a hot wife, like if you're not allowed to bring them anywhere, you're like, please stay home. Like the king's gonna try and steal you. And she's like, they won't steal me. And I'm like, they're gonna steal you. I don't know what the rules are here.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, the Agamemnon. I'm just gonna say the king because it's much
Yeah.
easier. Yeah, but the king then, yeah, he like steals her. I don't know. It's very. I wasn't sure if like she went willingly or if it was like if she was stolen.
It
It's the same as like Helen as well. Like
mhm.
there's it's kind of blurry as to whether like she went willingly or if she was like taken and then like held captive.
Yeah. Well, for in my translation, um, because Chrysalis is the one that got kidnapped first, but
Mhm.
um, in my version, it says Achilles' wife did not want to go to the
Oh,
king.
okay.
Yeah. So just a translation difference, I guess. So I don't
Okay, well
know.
then scratch that about him being good looking then because I don't
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Achilles' wife did not want to go at all. So at least in my version, it's weird having two different versions because it's like I can't read ancient Greek, so I'm gonna have no idea what the original text is.
Yeah, I mean that's like there's so many versions as well because like you got to think like this was originally like made this was passed down like through oral storytelling for
Mhm.
like years and years and years and years and it was like made into songs and everything before it was even written down. So I'm sure people like all over the globe heard different versions and
Mhm.
then different translations, you know, when it's translated so many times it has different meanings. So that's probably why it's so varied in different editions.
Yeah. I kind
And
of
you
think
can
it makes it
definitely
fun.
like some of the lines sound very kind of like poetic, which so like makes sense that it came from like oral storytelling and like song. Because like the size of this book, it's like how many pages? Like 600 pages or something.
Yeah, I think so.
Like it's so crazy that people would have like, I mean, obviously it's a lot more detailed now, but people would have like remembered this story so well.
Mhm.
And like people all over the world like were familiar with it. Like it's just crazy. So it's funny when you're reading it and thinking about all the people throughout history who've like heard this story and read this story. And it's kind of like half history, half myth, because like people
Mhm.
back then like thought this was like true, you know,
Yeah,
but like the gods coming down and intervening. So it's kind of cool.
I know. I like that there's like this idea that as people retell it too, it can change. So it like fits the
Yeah.
need of the audience. Whereas like you can think about it this way, like maybe mine was catered more towards like families, and it's like, yeah, she didn't want to go, she wanted to stay with her husband, whereas yours, where it doesn't say, it could be
Yeah.
catered towards like a group of men. So it's like all these translations kind of do the same thing, where it's like, oh, some of these change just based on who's reading it and what their understanding of it is, and the context of the story, which I think is kind of fun.
Yeah, like that was like very like really emphasized in my history degree. It's all about like looking at the source and like who that person was, like what background they came from. So like we have two different translators, so they're like probably from different countries, different cultures and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny.
Yeah, it'll be
Good thing
fun
to
as
think
it
about when you're reading it.
develops. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see what other like similarities and differences we have.
I'm still mad that you get Athena in yours, and I have to deal with Minerva, who I don't know who that is at all. Who does it say Achilles' mother is in yours?
Let me see.
So mine, it says Thetis.
Thesis, Thetis, Thetis,
Okay.
Thetis. Yeah, that's the
So it's the
version I
same.
had for sure. Yeah,
I said Thetis, but I don't know if that's actually true.
that sounds better than the way I said it. So,
Tiefling, whatever. So, as Achilles is crying, his mother comes down and is like, hey, baby boy, what happened? Like, what's going on? And he's just like, listen, this dude stole my wife. He wants to go and fight everyone. He won't give this woman back to her father, and he's like going to bring the downfall of our entire city. And Thetis is like, listen, I'm gonna go talk to Jove and see what can happen. I'm now realizing I think they mixed Greek and Roman gods together, because Apollo's Greek in
what
my
the
version.
heck?
Yeah, I'm
He's
just
got some bootleg crazy version.
yeah, Samuel Butler, what's happening? I'm so confused because I think Thetis is Greek too.
I just
Is
have Penguin. I trust Penguin. Penguin, please sponsor me because this is a good edition.
I feel like now I need to be like getting the Penguin version, because like this is a little rough for me. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not like a big fan of Roman gods, but we'll see how it goes. Thetis is like, I'll talk to Jove. We'll see what's going on. And this girl finally gets to go back to her dad. They return her without ransom money, and things seem to be starting to get better. And then Achilles like exits the chat, like he's no longer there anymore. So because the daughter gets returned, Apollo gets called off of his rampage, so destruction has ended. All the gods are back at Olympus, and Thetis is like, hey, my son is having a really rough time, like, can we please help him help everyone with the whole king situation, because that guy's kind of the worst.
He is.
Yeah. And Jove's like, okay, fine, I'll help you, whatever, like that, it's fine, we'll figure it out. And Juno is like, listen, I hate Thetis, stop trying to help Thetis, she's a river, I think she called her something like a river something, I don't know, she said something mean about Thetis, I don't know what she said though.
I love Juno, and it's such a cool name as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool, but yeah.
And yours, did it say Hera or did it say Juno?
Hera.
Must be nice. I was so confused why they were on Mount Olympus. I'm like, where's the Greek gods? Because I didn't think the Roman gods were on Mount Olympus.
Yeah, no, I think they were. It's like it was kind of like a sloppy, like the Romans really, it was kind of just like they didn't properly move everything over. They're like, we're just gonna make them our own by changing the names. That's all. That's all. We're not gonna give any other context. It's fine.
I love that the Romans, basically the Greeks, were like about to submit their homework assignment, and the Romans were like, hey, like I didn't have time last night, can I please copy your paper? And the Greeks are like, fine, but like change it a little. And they're like, the Romans like, don't you worry at all, I've got this.
So true.
So now we're on to book 2. So Jove sends a dream to the king, and he's like, hey, take Troy. And
there's a lot of like there are a lot of like prophetic dreams in this book. Like it's really like they all had very like profound dreams, like clear messages in dreams. Like my dreams are just like nonsensical, or I certainly like wouldn't, if I did have a dream that had like a strong message, I probably wouldn't be inclined to follow it, like especially not like start a war, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So he must have been very confident.
I know. I'm like, most of my clearest memory of a dream is when I had a dream about Doc Ock being a part of a zombie apocalypse, and every single
Cool.
zombie was Doc Ock. So there was like so many, and I was stuck on a cruise ship with these Doc Ock zombies, and then I woke up. That is like the clearest dream I remember. What am I supposed to do with that? Like, what war do I start?
I can't even remember. I only seem to remember the bad dreams.
Hmm.
So, because they just like they stick in your mind. But yeah, nothing exciting. But yeah, Zeus is just causing trouble. He's just like, I'm gonna just cause complete chaos and go into this man's dreams and tell him to start a war because I'm bored. That's basically it.
Yeah, literally the point he's at. He's like, maybe this will help Achilles. So the king comes out, wakes up, comes out of his tents, like, everyone, I had a dream. And they're like, what dream did you have? And he's like, we have to take Troy. And then he says something about not taking Troy and going home instead. And everyone's like, what? And he's like, no, just kidding. We're going to take Troy. And I'm like, why? What? Like, are you okay? So then Minerva goes down to Ulysses and says, yeah, don't take Troy. Or don't leave, sorry. Let them take Helen. And I thought Helen was a city. And then we find out Helen's a woman. And I was like,
Oh,
oh.
wow.
Well, because I thought, they're
Yeah.
talking about
You
Troy.
would. You
Yeah.
would, yeah.
Because I
That
don't.
just like goes to show, as we were saying earlier, that the women are just like possessions or like
Mhm.
something to be conquered, like
Yeah.
from this book. It's not Homer's fault, it's probably the way it was. But
I know.
yeah, it's pretty grim. But
Yeah.
I was reading this thing a while ago that was saying like throughout history people have gotten like better looking. So like if wars were started over Helen's beauty, like we're probably both like far more beautiful than she was, we'd be starting wars all over the place.
Honestly, my goal in life.
Well, probably not when you read ahead of what happens to her because it's not good.
Yeah. So then, for some reason, the king's like, yeah, it's going to take us 9 years to take Troy, and we will win on the 9th year because of a baby bird being eaten or something. I was very, 8. I was very confused about that part. I was like, okay.
Yeah, it's like omens were really like sacred and always right. Like back in these like books, like in Homer, like in the Odyssey and everything, they rely very heavily on omens. And it's always something to do with like sacrificing an animal, which is kind of sad. But yeah. So it's funny. I'm like, I wonder what like a bird sacrifice looks like to tell you 9 years.
I would think like 9 birds, but that's really sad.
Yeah.
I don't
I don't know. Who knows?
I don't know. So the king's like, we need to get Achilles on the same page again, but then just says that and does nothing about it at all. He just like airs it to the world as if that's going to change anything, while still keeping his wife. Like, Achilles still hasn't gotten his wife back. So I'm like,
Yeah.
how do you think anything's going to get solved, buddy? Like, give him his wife back. So the king prays to Jove to win, but Jove is like, yeah, I'm not going to listen to you, buddy. You're kind of trash.
That's
And
God to me when I'm asking for stuff. He's just like, whatever.
we
Not
get no
today, I'm busy.
signs. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then they like list out every single person to ever exist in this entire world, and then how
Ugh.
much they have. And I'm like, I literally do not care.
Yeah, even I think it's book 3 as well, that it's just a big list that like
Yeah,
Helen lists off and it's a big drag. I just completely kind of skipped it because there's too many names and too many irrelevant people.
I know. It's like, just bullet point it next time for me, please.
Yeah.
The most important thing we know is that Achilles has the most ships. He has 50 ships. And he's like, yeah, I'm not going to help in the war because you still have my wife. So,
Karma.
karma. I think he like literally would have made up like half the fleet, and they still don't have him. So then we're on to book 3. So they're already at Troy. Like we just immediately get there, which is kind of nice because we don't get any sailing chapters.
Yeah, it's kind of like Homer's like, here's what you missed, like the little glee catch up, and he kind of like runs through all that at the start. And now it's like the war's been going on for like 9 years. And this is kind of like the climactic part.
Is it been going on for? I didn't realize that. I thought this was the start.
No, I think this is the ninth year because the whole book only takes place, I think, over like 2 months.
Oh, okay.
Like 52 days or something like that. So I think the first part, like the first book or two, is kind of like a recap, and then this is like the ninth year of the 10-year war, I think.
Okay. This is why we got you on.
I hope that's right. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure that's right.
If not, someone on Instagram will be like, you guys did not do your research. And I'll be like, you are correct. Anyways.
Sometimes it's nice to hear podcasts though from people that aren't an expert, and just hearing their like genuine thoughts, even if maybe they're a bit incorrect sometimes. Oh yeah, I'm glad that they don't have comment sections on podcasts, even though I would like to, see who's listening and the interaction and everything. I also wouldn't want to be corrected or get any mean comments.
It's funny because I live stream on Twitch too. So like when I'm doing that, people will be like, "Oh, hey, you just missed something," and I'll be like, "Okay, we'll go back," and then like make sure I complete everything. Whereas like podcasting, I have to wait until it's published, and then people are like, by the way, like that's not actually true," and I'm like, "Whoops,
Yeah,
sorry."
I'm no expert. I'm just one girl. Yeah, I get that. Can't mention everything.
It's fun though. And I think it's
Yeah.
like it kind of gives you when listeners listen to it, you kind of feel like you're haunting the studio space, because it's like you're a ghost and you can't interact with anything and you
Yeah.
just have to listen to the rhetorical questions, but you can't answer them.
At least people are listening when they correct you,
Yeah,
and they're engaging.
I know. I'm like, more people correct me, and then I know that like you guys are actually listening. So then we're on to book 3. The Trojan champion looks big and scary, but he's like terrified and tries to hide behind all of his men when the other guy comes out. And I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah. Oh.
So then Alexandrus, who is the Trojan champion, is like, fine, I will fight this guy, but everyone else better sit down and wait to see what happens. So they're going to try and have these two champions fight over Troy. And not only does the winner get Troy, but they also get Alexandrus's wife, Helen.
Yeah, and all of her like possessions.
Yeah, and her money. I'm like, for what? Like, why would you say, yeah, not only would you get Troy, but you also get my wife?
I'd love like a book or something. And maybe there probably is out there, but like something from Helen's perspective.
I know, I
I
want
think
that
that'd be
sweet.
so interesting.
Yeah, that's sweet fan fiction. That'd be great. Give me
I'll
the
write
fan
it.
fiction.
I'll
Honest,
write it. You can
do
link
it.
it in the description.
Yeah, let me know. You've got until June. Let's.
I remember like in an assignment in secondary school, I did like Hamlet, but from like Ophelia's perspective for like a homework assignment, and that was super fun. Maybe I'll just start writing historical fan fiction. Who knows?
I'd read it. I'd absolutely read it. Like that sounds delightful. I want like when I recorded our Great Gatsby episodes.
Oh,
I
amazing book.
Oh yes. I was telling my guests, I was like, I want the literary, like in-depth research about Nick and his night with the guy at the party because they had like one
Yeah.
throwaway line that literally implied they had sex, and I was like, "Where's the academic research of that?" Like,
Well, there is a book called Nick. That's a Great Gatsby. What's it called?
spinoff.
Spin-off. Yeah, I don't know how good it is, but I saw it advertised to me the other day on Instagram. But I don't know. Nick was an interesting character, so
So we're at the fight.
okay.
Everyone's fighting. This is when we find out that Helen's a human being and not a city. And she's somehow the goddess Iris's sister-in-law, which means that Alexandrius is a god.
I guess. I mean, as we were saying earlier, everybody has some sort of like God DNA, so who knows.
I
And
mean,
then there's so much relationships as well that like sister-in-law doesn't even like mean much,
yeah,
because there's so many different marriages and relationships and everything. It's totally messy. I gave up on trying to find like the connection between all of them like a long time ago because it's just way too messy.
I know. I was like, I need a family tree. And I was like, scratch the family tree. I don't care anymore. And
Yeah.
like, I don't know who these people are. It doesn't matter. Like, I made a family tree for when I read Sense and Sensibility to kind of like get it all cleared up. But I was
Yeah.
like, your guess is as good as mine on this one. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know who these people are. So as this fight is little going on, it seems like the gods are favoring both and also neither of them. Like, no one's really winning. And then Venus saves Alexandrius because he almost dies. So like she saves him at the last second, takes him back to his room and's like, stay here. I'll be right back. And then goes and grabs his wife and it's like, go see your husband. He's like he was gonna die. And Helen's like, listen, I am promised to the victor. Like I can't go back to my husband. And she's like, do you want to go back to your husband or not? Like, go back there.
They're
So
so mean to Helen. Like
I
the
know.
way even like Agamemnon and everything talks to her, it's like she just has no say at all. Like
I know.
it's
Wait,
pretty sad.
she didn't get to talk to the king. She's talking to Alexandrius, her husband, in my version.
Now, who is it? I can't remember who it is now. Let me see. It might have been Athena, but one of them is like, oh no, maybe it was Zeus. Sorry, it was Zeus that
Mm-hmm.
said, no, it was Zeus that said that to, no, I'm getting mixed up. Zeus said that to his wife. I'm getting all messed up with
Oh,
people.
okay.
But basically, yeah, see, this is what I mean. All these names and like they're very the gods are like flesh shape, but I feel like the people are pretty like one-dimensional. So it's
Yeah,
easy to get them like confused.
I know. Yeah, it definitely is. It's like this whole Helen situation is basically they like lock her in a room with her husband and they're like, you guys stay there while this is happening. And I'm like, okay, sure, what? Like, I don't understand. But the king Agamemnon thinks he's owed Helen now, so he's like running through the streets. He's like, "Someone find Alexandrius because he's probably got his wife hiding away, and she's mine now because we won." And I'm like,
Where's my
"Cool,
trophy?
yeah, disgusting, buddy." So then we are on to book 4. So the gods tell the Trojans to kill Menelaus, which is the one that was the champion for
Mhm.
the king. So the gods are like, okay, shoot him with an arrow. And the Trojans are like, cool, cool, we can do that. So he goes to shoot him, and then the gods specifically make it miss to start a
Mhm.
full on war. And I was
Yeah.
like, why would you do that?
They literally have a meeting in Olympus and they're like,
Mhm.
should we keep the truce? Should we start a war again? And they're like, yeah, let's fight. I'm
Yeah,
bored. And like as I was saying before, they don't care because they're immortal and the humans are just their pawns. But then there's like total bloodshed over just them causing chaos for whatever reason.
I know. They basically view the human race as like a VR
Yeah,
simulator.
like Sims or something.
Mhm. Like they're just like, let's do something fun. We haven't had a war in a couple days. That might be fun. You think that'll liven things up around here? And all the other guys are like, yeah, I could go for a war. I have time until about 3 o'clock, and then I gotta go back to, golfing. I'm like, okay. So the king's like, listen, the Trojans just broke the truce. Time for war. So war breaks out, and then we're on to book 5. So, book 5, Minerva gets Mars out of the battle and's like, hey, let's let Jove handle this and not interfere anymore. And Mars is like, okay, can do. I'll just wait here. And Minerva's like, okay, so we'll just both wait here, but you wait right there. And I'm going to just go like over here for a little bit. Like, I'm totally not interfering at all. Never, not me. But like, I just have to like run to the bathroom. So then Minerva is like, hey, Diomed, I guess is his name. I'm gonna let you see gods and kill people, but if you see Venus, please wound her. And Diomed's like, all right, sounds good. Can do. So Diomed proceeds to slaughter like so many people,
Mhm.
like 15 people in the span of like 2 minutes.
It's just like pages of just like
Mm-hmm.
death and stabbings. This is kind of when my eyes kind of glazed over
Mm-hmm.
because it was just too many names and insignificant details. But yeah, a lot of people die. It's a
Mm-hmm.
big mess.
I know. It's like a lot of people die and they're like, also, he was like a beautiful individual. It was his father's only son. And I was like, okay, thanks. Or they're like, yeah, this guy is really old. He can no longer have kids. He has no one to split. Diomed kills both of his sons. So now his entire fortune's going to the people that around him. And I was like, okay, thanks, Homer. What? So Diomed sees Venus and straight up goes after her because she tries to protect her son, and her son is the one that shot Diomed at the beginning. He was the archer.
Mhm.
And then Diomed just straight up stabs her in the wrist. And Venus is like, what? And has to go back up to Mount Olympus. And she's like, hi, I'm bleeding out here via wrist stab wound. Can you please bandage this for me, my mother? And her mom's like, yeah, why did this happen? And then like Jove is like, can we like all stop interfering in this war, please? Like just let it play out. You're not made for this, Venus. And Venus is like, I can do war. And he's like, leave the war to Minerva and Mars. Like you can't do this. And Venus has to like pouty sit at like
Mhm.
Mount Olympus with all the other
With her little
gods.
plaster on, her little
Yeah.
Powerpuff Girls plaster and a huff.
I know she's got like her one wrist bandage and she basically has to watch it on TV with the rest of the gods.
Yeah.
So then Diomed's like done with his slaughtering for a minute and Minerva walks up to him and is like, hey, you know what would be fun? And Diomed's like, what? She's like, if you just like straight up murdered Mars. And Diomed's like, I'm sorry, what? And she's like, yeah, no, like this is gonna be so fun. Like, totally do this. Nothing bad could happen to you whatsoever. And Diamond's like, okay, like I trust you. Yeah, I guess I'll do that. And then instead of Diomed murdering Mars, Minerva just straight up stabs him in the like stabs Mars in the middle of the battlefield. And I was like, what is happening? Like why are the gods like taking out their own vengeance acts right now? Like what's going on?
There's just no consequences
I
for
know.
like their actions, and they don't seem to have like a strong moral compass, like their
Yeah.
actions just like change on a whim,
Hmm.
and the whole like it's always just really unpredictable.
Yeah. And then after Mars gets straight up stabbed, he goes up to Jove and like goes back to Mount Olympus. He's like, Jove, like, Minerva just stabbed me. And Jove is like, I don't want to hear it. Like, stop complaining. I don't care. And I was like, Jove is like a trash father. Your son was
Yeah,
stabbed.
yeah, he's pretty trash. All the gods like are pretty dodgy parents. Like they
Hmm.
probably don't even know how many kids they have. They can't keep track of them.
That they like don't keep track of how many kids they have. And they also like have all these random demigod children and they're like, leave the powered children off to do whatever they want. Like it'll
Yeah, they're half
probably work
mortal. They're not
out.
valuable. Whatever.
I know it's like some of them, like even Thetis talking about Achilles, she's like, he's gonna have a short life or whatever. And I'm like, I mean, he's gonna have like 80 years probably. So like that's like a normal human life. So I'm not really sure what your standard for short is. Like,
Well, I suppose back then people lived for like probably 30 was
oh,
probably
you're
or
right.
probably even younger. So
Yeah.
that probably feel like affinity for them.
Yeah. This probably feels like 30 seconds, And they're like, wow, my kid just died. It's rough. I don't know. This book's kind of chaos, and I think it's
Yeah, it's completely chaotic, which
Mhm,
is why probably why it's like stuck around for so long, because
mhm.
there's just so much in it to talk about.
Oh, I know, and I love this. I think this is fun. I think it's a wild ride. I forget that basically, like, because I casually read the Bible, like a few chapters of it, and like it
Hmm.
always was like otherworldly. It
Yeah.
like felt very distant, and like God would do casually just like whatever and make people feel better with no
Hmm.
moral consequences to himself. But then it's like the Greek gods are like, I'm gonna go stab you in war because you
Yeah.
inconvenienced me 1,000 years ago. Try it
they're
again,
they're
Mars.
super petty. Like
Oh
the
yeah.
gods are the most petty.
I think it's kind of fun because it's like just adding like Greek and Roman gods adds like a layer of pettiness that you don't need in any character development because you already know. Like you show up and it's like Athena's mentioned and you're like,
Oh.
I'm ready.
Yeah, we haven't even gotten to like the whole. I don't think we've even gotten to the whole drama with the golden apple yet. I think
I
that's mentioned.
I didn't read any further ahead yet. Like I
Hmm.
stopped right here, so I wouldn't know anything yet.
Well, yeah. AKA, just to sum it up, the gods are petty as heck, and it doesn't stop. It just goes on for the whole book.
I'm excited. This is gonna be fun. It's gonna be kind of weird having us reading two different translations because I didn't think about it, but it's
Yeah, I didn't
fine.
either, but it's fine. We can just kind of compare the similarities and differences. That'll be fun.
I think that's all we've got for this episode. Thank you, Jade, so much for joining me. Where can all the
Thank
people
you.
of the internet find your podcast?
I have an Instagram about a book podcast on Instagram. I'm also on TikTok, kind of cringy, but that's about a book podcast too. And yeah, you can find my podcast on all the same platforms as this one. So go there after you finish this episode.
Yeah, and I will link everything in the show notes so that you can check out Jade's podcast. And we will talk to you guys in the next episode where we probably will get even more people losing their wives, like
Yeah.
randomly, because that's what happens here. And yeah, we will catch you all in the next one. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Barely Bookish podcast. If you want to find me, I am at Barely Bookish on literally everything. Also, as I kind of mentioned in the intro, we are going to be doing exclusive early access over on Patreon. So if you want to join us, go on patreon.com/barelybookish and you can get early access as well as those exclusive episodes that come out every single month. Also, we have new merch. So if you want to check out the merch, please do so. It's barelybookish.com/merch, and you will see all of our great merch options and fun stuff like that. But yeah, that's kind of all I've got for you guys. I'm still on break from Twitch right now, just because I am doing a lot of moving and fun stuff like that. But I will be back starting September. Also, our Patreon exclusive for September is going to be Heartless with Leah from YA Book Chat. So you guys, I think will really enjoy that. I really enjoyed reading Heartless. I think it was a really good retelling or adaptation, I guess, but it was a lot of fun. So I hope you guys enjoy that, and I will catch you all in the next one. Our logo was designed by my little sibling Sarah. Our theme song is by Raphael Crux from freepd.com, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye!